every time I'm engaged with this person, I feel worse. I feel bummed out, less than, angry, agitated, drained, right?
Be manly and the legends of humanity. Welcome to the Fellowship of Honourable Men and Women Role Models for Boys and Men, because you have the power to be a man in all its glory. Continuing our discussion on how not to be a loser in your life, we're going to be talking about building healthy relationships. And we're talking about fostering healthy relationships, including communication skills, empathy, and building trust and personal and professional connections. How do we do that? How do we build these healthy relationships?
Well, I think you have to define for yourself what a healthy relationship is, right? And I think for me, it starts with looking at the relationships that you do have in your life and sort of putting them into buckets. Like, this relationship is neutral. I don't feel bad. I don't feel good. It's a neutral relationship. This relationship, every time I'm engaged with this person, I leave feeling better, happy, joyful, more optimistic. Every time I'm engaged with this person, I feel worse. I feel bummed out, less than, angry, agitated, drained, right? So looking at the relationship in your life and sort of categorizing them based on how those relationships impact you, I think is a good place to start. And then I think for me, a couple of tools that I've used for myself and with my clients and in my relationship is to recognize that it's always a two-way street. It is always a give and take. And, I think Brene Brown actually said it best recently, in that if you look at if you look at us as a battery, right? And if we're in a romantic relationship, let's say you and I are together, and you have 100% and I have 100% as our battery and what we can give to the relationship and the household and the kids and our job and all of the things. And I come home that day and I look at you and I say, Damien, I got 20 left. And you say, okay, I got 70 left, so I'll pick up where you, right? And so it's not about like defining specific roles per se. And that might be the case for your relationship. It's setting up those rules, but it's about communication, right? And then trusting the other person, communicating back how you are feeling. And sometimes I'm going to be able to pick up the slack, and sometimes you're going to be able to. Maybe we're both here, maybe we're both low. And if we're both low, then it's like, okay, so what do we need to do to get through the rest of the day and still be kind to each other, still be courteous to each other, knowing that we've kind of done this check, right? I had a client whose husband had, by the time she became my client, had attempted suicide twice. And she came to me like really upset, obviously, but what she was really was like, I feel like I've lost myself because I feel like I'm walking on eggshells, that I can't communicate with him because I don't know what's going to set him off. And so as we got talking, I said, I wonder tell me how this lands for you. I just, the emojis with like the frowny face, the cry face, the straight line, smiley face, then the extra happy. I said, what if you found a set of those that were magnets and you just put them on the refrigerator, and then he could come in and grab a magnet and stick it on the fridge to indicate what his mood and where he was feeling, which then would communicate to you kind of like where he's at. And how, rather than just like, oh my gosh, I don't know. And she liked the idea. So she got those and she used them and for about a month. And then she came back after about a month of using it. She told me I said, hey, how are the magnets? Are you guys still using them? How are they working out? And she was like, oh my God, They are amazing. I actually got a set for myself, so we each put them up there. And then throughout the day, we move them, right? Because life happens. And then you might start out great, and then you have a crap sales call or something. And then you're like, well, now I'm just like a neutral face, but then something else. So like, they just kind of, as in a lot of people are working from home, so they just kind of like use that as a way to non-verbally communicate, to just give each other sort of like I was talking about with this like battery analogy that Brene Brown used, so that then you can communicate appropriately to your partner where you're at, and then give them the tools so that they can meet you where you're at, which I think is something it's hugely important in relationships. And if you're in a relationship where you don't feel safe to express your emotions, then that's a whole nother conversation, probably best done with at least a coach, if not a therapist, to figure out like how to bring that trust and vulnerability back into your relationship.
Before you go, you're invited to continue the Be Manly and the Legends of Humanity journey. Subscribe to our YouTube and become a patron, where you can become a courageous crusader, a wise warrior, a daring dynamo, and even an ascending avenger. Here you'll find all the tools to become a man in all its glory. We're honored to walk side by side with you on this extraordinary adventure. Together, we're unleashing the full power of manhood, creating a better world for everyone.